Hello, hi everyone. My name is Sunny. Thank you so much, Brenton, for the lovely introduction and for having me here. As Brenton mentioned, my name is Sunny. I'm a recent graduate from Bachelor of Civil Engineering from Deakin University. Just completed my honors this year in February and graduated in March. I'll be basically talking about my journey from India to now. Me and Brenton, we met during the Study Geelong event that we organized a couple months back. And then we met last week, and I had no idea what I was going to talk about. But he suggested maybe instead of Study Geelong, I talk about my journey. So here I am. So as I am an international student coming from India, let's first talk about international education. So when we talk about international education, I'm sure we all can agree the first thing that comes into mind is the economic benefit that it provides to our country. The first thing that comes into our mind is the money that the government is able to earn and the things we can do with that money. But does any one of you have any idea exactly how much impact international education provides to the Australian economy in any way? Yes, it is really high. According to Department of Education, Australia's top 5 export industries, those are coal, iron ore, natural gas, education, and gold. So can you see, like among those coal, iron ore, natural gas, those commodities, we have international education right there. And in 2022 to 2023 alone, international education contributed towards $36.5 billion to the economy, helped a lot with post-COVID recovery. And it was only the international students who were able to fill all those vacancies that we had after COVID. Those cafes, they were able to get those jobs at those restaurants just so we can have our morning coffee and enjoy dinners like this over the weekends. Now, we're talking about international education. Have you ever wondered what support services are available for these students? Because once we come to this country, coming from an entire different culture, obviously things are way different in this country. And that's when things start to really change. And have you ever wondered what support systems are available for these students to make them know about rules and regulations, the etiquettes, and how to navigate through the society and things like that? I guess not, but there are a lot of services available, but still a lot is required to be done. Now imagine turning 18, graduating from your year 12, you decide that you are going to leave your country, go to an entire new country where people don't even speak your first language, leaving your friends, family, relatives, everyone behind, just you. And you have to start basically your new journey. And that's exactly what all the international students have to go through. But yes, we choose it. And so I came to Australia in 2020 at the start of it. I decided that I will be studying civil engineering when I was 13. And so just to pursue my passions, because competition back home is really tough. I tried getting into a good university, but I could not. Because I didn't meet the quota system, and then I decided, okay, I'll start looking for some universities outside of home, and I got accepted into Deakin, and they were able to offer me a scholarship. So here I am. So that was my first day at Deakin, the one with pink background, holding a big koala right there. And that's me in the airport, and that's me before I was about to take my flight. So that was me. And in the first 2 weeks, to make things more challenging, what happened was, in the first 2 weeks, we got COVID. So I only had 3 friends at the time, and 2 of them went back to their home countries because we, at the time, didn't really know what was going on, what COVID really was. If it's a deadly disease, everyone's going to, all sorts of questions, and they were really worried. And my 3rd friend, I lost touch with him, but I just kept studying because that's all I could do. I was living in a shared apartment with 2 other people. They were a bit older than me, but I just kept studying. They were my only social group, and then I was able to get a job in retail industry, fortunate enough, in a 7-Eleven, which was 8 minutes walk from my home. So being essential service, I was able to earn some money on the side. And then I got in touch with Sikh community of Geelong, where we started we decided that a lot was going on at the time because people were losing jobs, people were in isolation, they couldn't go out, get the groceries. So we decided preparing meals for people in need and deliver it to doorsteps of people who actually were hungry or they needed something. So we started a phone number where people would ring us up and we would deliver meals to their doorstep. A lot of them were international students, and a lot of them were people in isolation or people who were born and brought up here, but they didn't have any jobs left. So that's how I started. So I got into touch with a few community groups. I was a very shy, timid individual who wouldn't even hold a mic. My legs would start to shake if I'm holding a mic. But through that, I was able to build up a slight bit of confidence. And that's how I stepped into my second year of university life, where at the start of it, I felt that there was a gap. The gap was that what I was told back home that I was going to expect coming to Australia to what I actually saw or what I actually experienced after coming here. So just to bridge that gap, I decided, okay, we need to fill it. So I've created a mentoring group. So with the mentoring group, we would reach out to new students and we would let them know that this is what you're going to expect. So just to give them a heads up and head start so they can better prepare, better study, make the best out of their time at Deakin, basically. So using that study support group that we created, we would mentor them for first few weeks, up to first 5 to 6 weeks of their time at uni. And then that actually helped. I don't remember there was any student that went through that mentoring group and who actually dropped out of uni. Because usually after first year, your first trimester, a lot of students, they drop out. But anyone who went through that group, they didn't drop out. And it was noticed by university. So Vice Chancellor was really kind enough to award me with the Student Helping Student Award at the time. So it was a highest level leadership award at my university. So that really boosted my morale again. And then I got in touch with a few other groups that we created. One was where we would reach out to students who come to Deakin just to study English in specific, because we get a lot of international students who come here just to study English and know a bit about the culture, and they just go back home. So we would reach out to them, we would teach them, we would let them know that this is what our culture is, and this is how to thrive in university life in Australia, basically. And then online students, so we would mentor. So far, just in that year, I was involved in mentoring of up to 800 students, and then my team, we were mentoring that's a very big number. So yeah, at the end, I was able to receive that award, and then Study Geelong. So that's where a lot of things started to change. So I came to know about Study Geelong. So if you're wondering, Study Geelong is an organization where we promote Geelong as a place to live, work, and study. So as I was talking about international education and how it benefits the Australian economy and benefits the country as a whole, so Study Geelong is just that organization which helps Australia and helps international students. So promoting Geelong, because a lot of students, they go to Melbourne anyway. No one knows about Geelong once we are outside. Because I know coming to Geelong and deciding that I've been accepted into a university in regional Victoria, and there is this place called Geelong. It was a big decision for me to make because I didn't know how small that city is. So that's exactly what Study Geelong is doing, promoting Geelong and then diverting some students away from Melbourne so that regional Victoria can also grow. Because we also have vacancies and jobs to fill. We also have economic needs and things like that. So I got into this group, Study Geelong. It's run by Tourism Geelong and Bellarine, funded by Victorian Government and Geelong Council. So we led a lot of programs where we would reach out to international students, again, helping them with their life in Australia, dealing with their problems, being that organization who can advocate for them as well. And then we led a campaign called Brand Geelong as well, where we participated in a few ad campaigns, worked with few journalists, and including Geelong Advertiser. We started an International Friends program, which is also currently happening, by the way. I'll talk about it later. So International Friends program was a program where we would pair one international student with an Australian family, because just to bridge that cultural gap, so the family can get to learn about their culture and the student can get to learn about Australian culture better, just to have that cross-cultural collaboration. And to this day, I've seen people, like, it was a 5 to 6 week program, but to this day, I've seen a lot of those students, they're still in touch with those families. And they hang out every now and then. I see their photos on social media floating around every now and then, and it's really good to see the impact that Study Geelong has been able to create in that space. And then we started a career mentoring program as well, where again we would reach out to different industries. We would ask those people working in the field to come and pair up with international students, and then they would mentor those international students, let them know how they can enter into professional industry. If I was paired with someone who studied engineering, he was a maritime engineer, he was able to guide me, and in fact, he was from one of the Rotary clubs, can't remember which one it was, but one of the Rotary clubs down in Geelong. And again, this was very, very helpful. So we did that. We also started doing coffee catch-ups with ambassadors, because being young leaders of Geelong, that's what they used to call us at the time. So we would meet up with normal students, catch up with them again, having that guidance and ongoing support system side of things. Yeah, that photo over there, it's me with my supervisor, Simone, on the top right corner. And that's me we had an exchange program where we had about like 40 to 50 people come down to Deakin to have a look, and then potential recruit for Deakin as well later. So that's me with them. I was showing them around our facilities and things like that. Yeah, and if you are using any kind of social media, I do encourage you to follow Study Geelong. And then, yes, Engineers Australia. So at the start of my third year, which was 2022, I was able to get into Engineers Australia as the student ambassador, which I still am. I am in the Young Engineers Australia committee as the regional champion. So with Engineers Australia, so my job was basically being a representative of them at my uni. So if you don't know, Engineers Australia, it's the peak body of all the engineers in Australia, and it's run by government. It's a government body. So we would focus on the employability side of things, because I was able to lead a project, because I realized that engineers, they are skilled, but they're not skilled enough to actually enter the industry. So that was one of the main thing that I came across, because working with Engineers Australia, we were looking at those stats. All different engineering companies, there's so many vacancies, but there are so many unemployed engineers which are not able to get a job. So my focus was to run workshops. We would use our channels, invite industry leaders, government organizations, speak to our engineering students, let them know how they can get into the industry, not just international, but domestic students as well, and promoting engineering as a career. I've been to so many different schools around Geelong, spoken about STEM, engineering, and just being an advocate for Engineers Australia and trying to promote engineering. And again, it also helped with uni dropouts, because a lot of engineers, they would drop out of uni because they would think it's too hard for them. But this was really helpful. And then I became an ambassador for Deakin. Deakin was able to offer me a position. So again, I would help out with the orientation campaigns, again, meeting up students, just being their face outside of Deakin and just representing Deakin wherever they want me to go to. So that's me with the campus tours. So I was leading campus tours during our open day. And that's me with a group of international students who I just met and gave a presentation to, just talking about international education and the time in Australia, explaining and helping them. That's me giving my presentation with pink t-shirt. Oopsie. Yes, and then my student union. So I got into, because I was at the time being noticed and doing a lot of stuff in international education and in education sector as a whole, and in the community as well. I was working with Sikh community at the same time. I was working with a few other community groups, which I haven't mentioned, but they were more of cultural community groups. So just bridging that cultural gap and then organizing cultural events. But then, yeah, I got into my student union where I was able to take part in university elections and got elected as a people of color representative. So that's where the picture changed dramatically, because I was one of the first person on that role, and I was able to put the voice of an international student who is in fact a person of color towards the university management and tell them about what our needs and wants are and advocate for their education. So using that position, I was able to start some cultural clubs at my uni. We didn't have any, surprisingly. So that's me with Deakin University Indian Club that we created. So we created, and we didn't know what was going to happen because it was right after the COVID and not a lot of international students were coming down to Geelong. But I don't know what happened. Somehow I created the club, and in the next 10 days when we got our club membership, we get like after 1 or 2 weeks, we get an automatic email from our Deakin Uni Student Union system about how many members we have. And for some reason, we had about 350 members. And I actually emailed back to them and asked if that is okay or you did a mistake. And they said, no, it's true. That's what has happened. Okay, well, I'll take it. So yeah, we organized an event for Holi, which is a festival of color. That was the first ever time we did that at Deakin. And we had more than 500 people in attendance. Having no bank balance, nothing at the time, we were able to reach out a few people who helped us, and with just $400, we organized that event, and we had more than 500 people in attendance. Went out to be so good because people, they were able to connect with themselves and their culture and feel like home. And now we call that club as home away from home, and we still do get a lot of domestics as well because they love Indian food. They want to try Indian sweets, and we're like, okay, you're most welcome. And then I took part in university elections again the following year because that thing actually took a lot of my time. I was still working with Study Geelong, still doing those mentoring things, still working with Engineers Australia, but at the same time in my student union. So, and then I got into, I took part in elections again, became campus coordinator for Geelong campuses, where I created a few positions, like queer representative, people of color representative, which we had already, women's representative, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander representative, and things like that. So I created a team of 8 people who would work directly with me, and then we would again put their voices forward towards the university management and then advocate. So I just wanted to make sure that every single person, every single demographic that we had at the university is heard. And those were student leaders themselves. They were already doing a lot of things like myself on the university campus, and they were aware of what the issues really were at the time. So I did that, and then I, again, pushing forward towards more cultural clubs, helped formation of Vietnamese society, Chinese society, Pakistani association, all those different cultural clubs. And those clubs, they still exist. They're running really well. And I'm so happy that they're there. And then starting welfare initiative. So that's me with a trolley on the bottom right corner. So that trolley, we have some fruit, apples, bananas, juice bottles. So during the exam period, the library was library at Deakin, it used to close at like 6 p.m. But during exams, we wanted it to be 24/7 because a lot of students, they wanted to study. They didn't have a proper place to study because their housemate is too noisy, or they're working the whole day and they want a quiet space for them. And so we advocated, and library opened 24/7. And that's me with the trolley roaming around the library asking if students want something healthy or a snack, just to keep themselves engaged and so they can do something with it. Did a lot of other things. We started a survival center at the uni to help cost of living crisis, because our young demographic was one of the worst demographic who were not able to cope with that at all. So students with those needs, they were able to get into that survival center, get some groceries for free if they would like to. Then more welfare initiatives, advocated with universities on a lot of things. And then the Lounge Student Center, which Brenton, am I doing okay with the time? Yeah. And then met with Brenton at the Lounge. So Lounge, we did a collaboration with Study Geelong. So I also work with Lounge Student Center. So we started that in 2023 around May. And this is a place where international students meet every Monday and Thursday. They have a healthy meal. They take part in an activity. and basically have fun. And then we invite different speakers and people, and we run many different things on the welfare side of things for students. And with the Lounge Student Center, we are again doing that program where we pair a student with an Aussie family. So if any one of you is interested, you can let me know. And we're doing, the next intake is happening in November, so a bit of time for you to think. But we desperately need more and more families to jump with us on board so we can bridge that cultural gap. But yeah, if you're interested, you can always let me know. And at the end, I was able to receive the Student of the Year Award and Geelong Youth Award. So Geelong Youth Award is awarded by Geelong City Council to people who are young and have done significant amount of work in the community. And then the Student of the Year Award is also something similar, but it also looks at the academic side of things as well. Because I was able to score really good grades in my university. And then plus all the leadership and the community work that I was able to do. So this award was awarded to me by Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen. And the best thing that has ever happened to me so far. Yes, and that's me, March 2023, this year. I graduated finally. So after my graduation, still working with City of Geelong, I got that internship with them and then been awarded a full-time role after that. And that's me giving my valedictorian speech at my graduation ceremony. So I was very fortunate enough to be selected by university to give this speech at the end of my graduation. So it went really well, especially with my dad sitting in the audience. I saw him after 5 years because I've never been back ever since. So it was such a good feeling. I can't really explain how I felt at the time. So yeah, at the moment, now that I've graduated, I'm still working on all those things that I was doing. Also involved in mental health space, volunteering with Headspace, which I'm sure you might have heard about. And also working with a Give Where You Live Foundation in my workplace. And thank you so much for listening to me. Hope you like it.
After all of that hectic journey arriving as an international student, you've graduated. What's next? Are you staying here? You're going home? Are you what are your plans?
Yeah, really good question. So I think I will be staying here for now. Again, like coming to a country like this, after spending 18 years of your time, leaving your home country. I call Australia as my workplace. India was my birthplace. So I've been in love with Australia ever since, and I have actually applied for my permanent residency and hoping for the best I get it. But yes, I will be staying.
Really fascinated, like what's fueled you, and I guess my question would be, if you had to inspire someone to follow in your footsteps to do all these great things, what would you say? What would you say to them to motivate them?
Yeah, that is a really good question. Again, as I mentioned, I was a very, very, very shy person at the time, but if I would see an uncomfortable situation, I would put myself deliberately into that situation so I can learn and grow. Because according to me, the real problem starts to come is when you're getting really comfortable with everything in your life. And the growth, it just never happens when you're comfortable. So it was more like getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And then I read a lot of books and I came across this really interesting principle, which I really follow to this day by heart. It's called 1% principle. Have you ever heard about that principle? So 1% principle was basically believing, it's like doing something every single day, like something could be something very, very small, but doing something every single day on a consistent basis, so that by the night time, when you're about to go to bed, you can say that to yourself, yes, you're better than what you were yesterday. So it was basically that. So I would do something. It could be reading 10 pages of a new book or listening to a TED Talk or maybe catching up with someone over a coffee and learning about their journey. Could be anything. But doing very small effort on a consistent basis and over a few short period of time, you'll see how much big of a difference it can make. Yeah.
Nothing to do with your congratulations on your achievements, but nothing to do with your talk. Is it difficult being a Sikh in India? I hear about the Modi government being so strongly Hindu-oriented that the Sikhs face discrimination. Is that the case on a personal level, or your family, or?
very good question. I get asked the exact same question a lot in my student union. But yeah, in terms of the discrimination side of things you mentioned, I personally, obviously there is a lot going on in India, which we are all aware of, and the Modi government being very Hindu-centric. The Modi government being very Hindu-centric. The one thing that in my personal experience is that because Sikh religion, it's like one of the most youngest religion in the whole world, and it sort of emerged through Hinduism. And again, Sikh people, we believe in welfare of community, we believe in equality, all that. So in Indian community in general, they have really good perception of Sikh people. So if you are a woman, uncomfortable, and you see a taxi driver who is a Sikh, you would be comfortable in going and reaching out to that person and sharing how you are feeling at the moment, because it's 10 o'clock at night and it's dark and there is something going on. But yeah, Sikh people, Indian people in general, they have a really good perception of Sikh people, and we are considered as one of them. So as a minority, it's always a bit tricky, and there is a lot going on, but in general, it's still going really well. And my family, because we are from Punjab, it's a Sikh-dominated area as well, and yeah, it's going good. Yeah.
Yes. I sometimes speak to Indian people whenever I see them, and they say we're lucky to be here because the competition in India is much worse. And quite a few people I see who are quite well educated, and they've got jobs, but I worry that Australia hasn't got enough jobs for good people like you. We have, well, this club is so full of old engineers that have run big companies, but they don't exist anymore.
Experienced engineers.
This club is the most extraordinary club with the talent that it's got of retired people. I don't know that they'll ever exist again, but it's really inspirational to hear someone like you who's succeeded in everything you've done. But will Australia offer you a sort of fulfilled life that you could have if you went back to India?
Very good question again. And that's exactly was the same question I had in my head when I decided that I will be going to Australia and had no idea what was going to happen. But about the competition side of things, I actually wanted to stay in India after I graduated from year 12. So because as I mentioned, I wanted to study civil engineering, and to get into an engineering university or an engineering college, you have to go through an entrance exam. And that entrance exam is run by the Indian government, and it's one of the hardest thing you could ever do. Think of it as SATs or the medical exam that we have here in Australia. I forgot the name of it. But yeah, can you imagine how many people gave that entrance exam in 2019 when I was appearing for it? Any guess? 1.5 million. Yes. And to get into those top universities, the vacancies were about 10,000. So I was nowhere close to it. They work on a percentile system. So my rank was around 90,000 in all those 1.5, which was really good. I was very happy with it. But because people start preparing for those entrance exams, like starting from the year 8 or year 9, because of the competition, they just get crazy at it. And those are the people who can actually be in the top, like those 10,000 people. But so I wasn't able to get the university that I wanted, so I came here. And then all these opportunities that I've gotten, as I mentioned, I was very shy. I didn't know what I was doing. So Australia was able to offer me those opportunities, and I'm really, really thankful to everything that this country has offered to me, and everything that this country offers to every single international student. Because one thing, you're leaving your country to study, but the other thing you sometimes also have in your mind is that you're leaving your country for good. So yes, I'm very thankful to Australia.
Can you tell us a little bit more about where you're from?
Yes, so I'm from up north in India. It's a small state called Punjab. So Punjab used to be very big until India got independence, and Punjab was split into small part which remained in India, and the rest of it went to Pakistan. And it's located directly under Himalayas. So it's a very, very plain, green area, so much field. Farming is one of the main occupation there. Think of it as a valley. And we get so many. We have about 5 rivers that flow, 5 main rivers that flow from Himalayas down there. So it's really beautiful, really pretty, and that's where I grew up originally. And I live very close to the capital city of Punjab called Chandigarh. And Chandigarh is the only planned city in whole of India. And it's very similar to Geelong. And the day when I came here for the first time, I actually realized, oh my God, am I in Chandigarh? But yeah.
I'll follow one last one then. There's an awful lot of students here from IT, and IT is extremely strong in India. Is that driven a bit by government wanting to get a good IT section, or is it just people want to do it?
For one thing was government, because government really helped IT to settle around southeastern India. Those big IT hubs, the Bangalore is the city which we call Silicon Valley of Asia. And that's where we have a lot of IT companies. So one factor is the government, because they really help them set up with the subsidies, with less tax and things like that. And the other thing is the perception, because in my personal experience, I remember when I was in my year 11, year 12, a lot of students, they were thinking of doing IT after their year 12, because there's just a perception that engineering is being taken. And so when a person is born in India, because we have that much competition, and we have those hierarchical system as well. Like if you're a cleaner, you're not considered to be a good person. And if you're an engineer, you're considered to be among the top of the ladder or something like that. And so right when you're born, your parents want you to be either engineer or a doctor. But then one other occupation that started standing out in recent time is like IT professional. So that's one of the other reasons that better social acceptance, so to say. Yeah.
Mary.
Yeah. Now, the men here will probably say, oh, that's such a girl thing or a female thing. I noticed the different colours of your headgear. Can you tell us, and also, is it something that you can access here in Australia, or do you get that exceptionally headgear, which looks amazing, or do you get that sent to you from your parents from India?
You can get it from Australia. You just have to go to Spotlight and... Yeah. No, it's not a curtain. It's 100% cotton, and it's just a big piece of cloth which we have to fold and tie it in a particular way. Would you be interested in like a very quick history behind this?
I do.
Yes. So as I mentioned, Sikh religion, it's one of the youngest religion in whole world. We got founded in around 1400, and the main reason why we were founded was because at the time Mughals, who were like, so to say, Muslims. So they were Muslim rulers. They were invading India, and India being a Hindu-dominated society, they were invading and they were forcefully converting Hindu people into Muslims. And then they were also being very impartial and raping Hindu women and things like that. So the founder of our religion, Guru Nanak Dev, even in Hindu religion, you have different classes. You're Brahmin, which you're considered closer to God, so you are top class. And then Kshatriya, which means you're a warrior, you're slightly lower than that. And then Vaishya, which means someone who does a trade. So you're considered number 3. And then there were 5, 6 different categories, and then there were untouchables at the end. And so the founder of our religion, he wasn't very happy with it. So he formed this religion with the main idea that we need to recognize the whole human race as one. So you would never see a Sikh person say, oh, look at that black guy, look at the Chinese, or look at that brown person, because we recognize the whole human race as one. And the idea was to basically think of God as one as well, because in Hindu religion there was that caste system, and then the Muslims were coming in and converting Hindus to their religion. So just to amalgamate and protect those untouchables, because Muslims were mainly targeting those untouchables at the time. Just to protect them and have that idea, we formed that religion. So if you go to a Sikh temple, you'd see everyone, no matter what color you are, like what's the color of your skin. If you're rich or poor, you might be a king, you might be a person working on the street somewhere, just a street vendor. You'll all have to sit in the ground. You will be given the same plate. You will be given same type of meal. You'll be all eating together. that's something that we do to represent equality. So that's why you might know that all Sikh people, they have Singh in their surname. So that was, again, just by knowing the last name, you would know that which class this person belongs to. And that's how you would decide how you're going to treat that person. So Singh was to represent equality. So all Sikh people, they'd have Singh in their last name. There are some exceptions. Some people don't follow it, but those are very rare. Usually all of them follow. And with the women, we use Kaur. So Singh means king or lion, and Kaur means queen. So it's just that universal system that we came up with just to abolish all the last names and use one single for every single one. And then with the turbans, because Sikh slowly, we started emerging into a warrior class for the society. So we would protect those women. We were the first ones in the whole world to allow women to participate in wars. In India, it was a big thing at the time, but we were the first ones to actually allow women to study, to go to schools, back in the day when society was very conservative. So as we slowly emerged into a warrior class, the 10th guru, we only have 10 gurus. So 10th guru at the time, he asked us to wear this turban because we used to have Kingdom of Punjab at the time, which included parts of Afghanistan, whole of Pakistan, whole of North India, a little bit of Tibet, which is in China at the moment. So he said that all of the people in my kingdom, they're kings and queens, and he came up with this idea of using universal surnames, and he said that every single one will be wearing this from now. So it was like a royal order at the time. So that everyone can identify as a Sikh, and Hindu people or people from other faiths, they can know who they can go to if they need protection, because we were warriors. So this has been a symbol and something that has been, but a lot of people don't wear it, but a lot of people do follow it ever since, yeah. So that was a quick history.
Well, congratulations. I'm in awe of what you've achieved here in Australia, and I'm only grateful that you decided to come to our wonderful country. What I'd like to know is, what would your situation be now, at this stage in your life, back home? Would you have an honours degree in civil engineering? Where would you be?
Yes. I think I would have an honours degree, but that would have been completed in a local school or local university in my hometown, and that degree would maybe allow me to earn like $500 a month if I be really ambitious. Or I may not have a job. I may have been unemployed and living with my parents on their money. That could have been my situation. My friend, who also gave that test, he was actually the one who started preparing for that entrance exam when he was in year 8. And he was able to get all India position 3,000 something. And he was able to get into that university which he actually wanted. If I compare it to him, he did IT. And now that he has graduated, he works in Silicon Valley in Bangalore. He is making good money, but I still see the difference that I've been able to acquire all those leadership skills and being involved with the community, which he hasn't been able to do. So I don't regret anything. I still think he has done a really, really good job. But if I compare that, I think Australia has definitely offered me a lot more than what I would have gotten in India. Yeah.